5-star copies all. Go ahead. Message to observer. Alpha 3 rounds. AT delay in effect. 3 guns. Bravo 2 rounds. 2 guns. Smoke on effect.
What's up, y'all? This is Andrew from the Options Millionaire community, and I want to talk to you today about Disney. Disney has been a hot plate item for a number of months, and recently I'm starting to see a lot of people jump into Disney, preemptive calls, preemptive longs, and there's a lot of chatter in the Twitter sphere and the YouTube sphere about Disney. Now, I think the reason why a lot of people are talking about Disney is because a lot of beaten down names the past couple of months/weeks have started to rally hard. Palantir, BABA, Coin. And then, of course, trying to jump on that euphoria, a lot of people are seeing that Disney is beaten down. It's going on back to 2015 levels. But in my opinion, that's the only thing about this stock that is attractive, the fact that it is beaten down so much. In terms of a charting perspective, it's a dumpster fire. And here's why. Well, for one, I don't really find a lot of strength in a name that's being beat down to a nearly decades low. It's coming back down to support where we bounced prior back in December. Of course, the coronavirus bounce before that is 2015. Although, yes, I do love finding value in beaten down names, but you have to be very patient. First, I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes VPA volume price analysis, which is the style of trader that I am. We're starting out here on the monthly chart because I like to go big to small with any kind of analysis. And what do we have here so far? In monthly candles, we have nothing but sellers. If you look back all the way back off from the sell-off in May all the way till now, May of 2021 that is, all we have is major influx of sell volume. Sell volume, sell volume, sell volume, sell volume. Now granted, these are monthly candles. There's a lot to go into these candles. We've been in a slight little downward trend, slight consolidation since July of 2022, so going on a year now. Now let's flip over to the weekly chart. The weekly chart is a little bit more clear here, a little bit more extrapolated. Every time the market has tried to bounce Disney back off this 89 level, the market has immediately smacked this thing back down. Every time the buyers try to move it up on low volume, the sellers come in and crash this thing back down on high volume. That tells me when you have a high volume amount of sellers coming in, that the sellers are still predominantly in charge. Every time the market tries to move into supply, sellers transact this back down. Knowing that the market is an auction house, that what this is telling me is that we are still in a distribution phase, meaning that the buyers do not believe that this has fallen low enough yet. Now we can get into a lot of reasons why Disney is down this far. Political, economic, seasonal, maybe all three combined, who knows? But the chart is getting beat down over and over and over again. So let's flip over to the daily chart for the one last analysis here. Now what I really want to focus on is the bottom side. I'm a volume price analysis trader. Volume, price action, VPA. Volume being first. So my eyes are glued down here. What do I see on this daily chart? Nothing but major influx of selling volume. And then I'm going to zoom in to the real important stuff, which is the May until July 2023, where everything else is starting to rally. The tech stocks rallied, the small cap and mid caps rallied across the entire market. Disney did not partake. And if we zoom in even more to just this time frame, which is here, that you see that we had a slight uptick overall in collective volume. And I'll show you exactly this. You see collective volume here was low. And if you look over here, collective volume is high. So we have a small uptick in collective volume. On top of that, it's predominantly controlled by the sellers. High volume, high volume, high volume, high volume on this move down here. Now, last week I posted this tweet. And I posted that because a lot of people were saying, go ahead and start buying Disney. Disney is getting ready to go higher. This thing's going to explode, etc., etc. And I believe that's a little too early. A lot of people were euphoric on all the other names we just talked about earlier, but Disney is not quite ready yet because the sellers are controlling the market. High spikes in sellers volume. What I need to see for this thing to start going higher is major signs of accumulation. That's going to tell me that the buyers are going to start hitting the tape on an institutional level. I want to be on the same side as institutional buyers as many times as I can, and the only way for me to do that is through order flow and volume. Now, what does good accumulation look like? Let's switch over to BABA, and I'll show you exactly why, because BABA is one of my favorite long-term holding hits right here. So if you look at BABA, they had this big sell-off all the way down, but what happened? Once we got down here, bam, the buyers started hitting. The buyers started hitting. All the volume started to come in a big way. Buy, 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 buy. We had a couple of high volume sells, but predominantly every time the big volume spikes happen into demand, it's the buyers. And then, of course, we finally hit the accumulation zone in this green zone here. The buyer stepped in once again, rallied this thing back up to 95, which I believe, by the way, BAB is going up over 100, possibly even 123. Now, going back today on Disney, July 17th, we see once again the seller step in a very big way. Very high volume spike. Price action breaks lower through micro support, heading on down to the next support of about 84 and change. And then if they were to take that out, we're coming on down to 79.39. Now, I have no idea if we're going to put in new lows. I do not have a crystal ball. However, I do know that I am not touching calls with this thing for the 10-foot pole until I see accumulation. Signs of accumulation here. What does that look like? Large green candles this side that look like this. I want to see green candles that start telling me that the buyers are starting to hit this thing in a very big way. And these are like my fake drawn volume candles, so bear with me. I want to see very large volume spikes down here that tells me we're getting ready to have the big players start to accumulate this share to drive this baby higher. Now, eventually this will happen, but not until the buyers decide that the price is low enough where they could start hitting this thing for value and then transacting high, because the institutional buyers are not going to come in until they know that the market is ready to explode higher with a name, because they want to make it worth it. Now, when we do finally find that cheap level where buyers start hitting, you're going to see two things. Extremely high buy volume down here, and two, hammer candles on the price action, mainly a 3-candle pattern bull trigger, which is where you get this big red candle like this, then you get a big move down with a hammer, and then the follow-on green candle for the third day. That'll complete the cycle for the bull entry. You'll have extreme buy volume. It'll be time to go long calls on Disney. And if you're going to play Disney, I would recommend a couple of different positions. One, I would recommend long-dated options, calls probably in the ballpark of 93 to 94 to 95, depending on where we are at the time. And then maybe some short-dated speculative calls to make this thing up here. And of course, you could also add this to your long-term portfolio in the terms of share ads. Dollar cost averaging, right? Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I do not think Disney is going to go higher anytime soon until we see the major buy volume. Do not enter this stock until you see the major buy volume. Hope you learned a little something. Let me know if you have any more questions about this or any other VPA style of trading. If you want to learn a little bit more about volume price analysis, come over and join the Discord, as well as read this book right here, The Complete Guide to Volume Price Analysis by Anna Coling. It'll change your life and it'll help you read when the big guys are coming into the charts. Until next time, I'm Andrew with the Options Millionaire Community, and I'm out. See you!